Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I'm reviewing Beyond the Rift, a Perditions mouth card game. This is a sequel to the previous Beyond the Rift game. So this is a game by Dragon Dawn Productions. This copy was provided for review, by the way. So this is a 1 to 4 player cooperative dungeon crawler where you can either play solo or with up to 4 other players, and you're going through multiple scenarios that are in the book. So you're fighting monsters. Each scenario is going to be played differently. So I actually did a how to play video. Again, it's not going to explain everything because, again, I'm going to sound like a broken record here. Every scenario plays differently. So I'm just going to give you a brief overview of how this game plays, and then I'm going to let you know what I think about it. Okay, so this is how the game is going to pretty much look. This is going to be the tracker. It's going to determine if you're going to win or lose, how many of these cards are going to come out. And this is the player board. This is the character right here. There are several other characters in the game, and they all have their own special abilities. As you can see, they're all here. Now, over here is going to show how many action points that I have, what kind of damage I would do, and these are other abilities that you can do during the game. Again, I'm not going to go over everything because every scenario does play differently. I'm just going to give you a basic overview of how this game plays. So now this is going to be my character's special ability. And each character has a different ability, and they start with their own deck of cards. As you can see, it's represented here by their symbol over there. But they can be upgraded later in the game, as you can get better abilities, better cards. So you're going to look at the scenario book here. So there is a lot of scenarios in this game. Now, I'm just showing you some random enemies that are out there. These are not all the enemies for this scenario, but this is going to show how they attack and how they work, depending on what card you draw here. So you're going to choose your difficulty. So if you're playing with 2 players, that's going to be what comes out. And then it's also going to show the difference. So orange is medium, green is easy, red is obviously hard. So you're going to pick your difficulty, and then you're going to set it up the way it says here. And there's also going to be specific items that come out of this game that you can get at the end if you win the scenario. So essentially how this game is going to play, there's going to be enemies here. Some scenarios will have these terrain which you would have to go through. So this is and depending on the scenario, it'll tell you how you get through these terrain cards. There's going to be several of them. You have rubble here, you have empty room, you have a door. Again, every scenario is going to be different. Again, just give you some overview of like some enemies. That's going to show what's going to take to draw them into you. This shows their range, their attack, their defense, and that is their health. So on my turn, that's how my character starts with 6 action points. So I'm just going to show you a hand of cards right here. So this can be played as a defense or to get more action points. So let's say I want to play this card. I would spend 2 to get 5 additional action points. So obviously you just go 1, 2, and then that would go up to 9. Now, I can play as many cards as what I have action points. But let's say I want to fight this human captain here. It costs 4 to draw him into me because I cannot attack him unless I have range. So any enemy that's here has a range, is range 2 to hit them. If you want to damage them, you have to draw them into you. So let's say I have this card right here. This is going to do 4 damage. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to do 4 damage to him. So I would spend 1 to do 4, and his defense is 4. So I actually would fail in attacking him. But I do have more cards here. So let's just say, yeah, we could play this one right here. So we would have to spend another 2. So we spent 4 to draw him in, and now we're spending 2 more from the cards I spent to attack him. So now I have enough to attack him. When you hit an enemy, you actually have to draw from the wound deck one of these. So we have wounds, and we also have fatigue. Now, when you injure an enemy, you're going to take the wound card and you're going to place them underneath. And then it's going to show what happens to him. So now he's gonna have -3, so he's gonna be easier to draw into you. He's gonna do a little bit less damage. He loses his defense, and he has -1 health. So now he has 2 health. So he has to have at least, it has to add, these blood symbols have to add up to 3 in order for him to defeat him. So that's essentially how you attack enemies. Now, if he were to attack, he would actually be able to attack me from over here because of his range. So that's pretty much how the hero phase plays out. Now, you're gonna go back and forth with if you're playing cooperatively or solo, and you can actually assist your partner as well by playing some of these cards. So like his defense, everyone has 1 defense to start. But now, as we go into the enemy phase, I'm gonna explain how that works. You're gonna draw this card right here. So this is 0. Now you're gonna look at the book here, and you can see it says 0, and you're gonna look up the enemy and see what each one does. And you're gonna follow in order what they're gonna do. And it explains you how they're gonna work. So let's just say he was an orc skirmisher. He's going to attack, then he's going to disengage from me. So that means he would have went back like that. And then he would engage again with somebody that is the target priority. Again, I'm not gonna go over everything, but that's pretty much shows who the target priority is. And then you're gonna, again, like I said, you're gonna go through each enemy that's on the board. And then you're going to do, what also you can do, is you can spend an action point to increase your defense. Okay, so if you do get hit, you're gonna take a wound card and you're gonna place it in your pile. You can also take a fatigue card if you get damaged. If you get like it could be like poisoned or other special ability. Now, how do you die? If you take too many wound cards, and when you draw your hand back up, there's nothing but wounds or fatigues, you are dead. So you can play fatigue cards during your turn to get rid of them. Again, they're going to be detrimental to you, but you can get rid of the fatigue cards and discard them. You cannot get rid of wound cards unless, again, there's a special ability that allows you to. So you can play the wound cards if you want to get them out of your hand, because again, if you can draw more, if there's nothing but wound cards in your hand, then you're in trouble. You're going to die, and then you're going to lose the scenario. So that's how your character would get killed in this game. Then you're going to have the quest phase, which is going to perform all effects of the scenario depending on who spawns. If any terrain comes out, again, it's going to change with every scenario. Then you would have your draw phase, which you draw up to your hand. And then the end phase, you end any special effects that are from the scenario. If you win or lose, again, certain scenarios would be, could say, oh, if this is ever at 9, you would lose. Or I know the first mission is hold off for 6-7 rounds. If you're still alive, you win. So that's essentially how each are going to play. So that's how, again, the game works. What I didn't bring up is when an enemy does attack, you're going to add this to it, to their attack as well. So you're going to draw these cards every time an enemy attacks you. So again, there's several different types. Again, you always want to give them a good shuffle. So let's say you do complete a scenario. When you win the scenario, it will tell you, again, everything's going to be different, but you're going to get one of these cards, and again, you could get 4 of them. You could get one depending on how many people you are playing with. What you can also do is you have a bunch of these cards here, and you can upgrade your attacks. Again, you start with your basic starting cards. There's several of them here, but now if you look on the bottom left here, that's going to show what body part it's associated with. So if you want to upgrade something that's with your head, you got to go through here and look for something that's with heads. It shows legs here. This is left arm. But essentially that's what you're doing. You're exchanging a body part card for the same body part. There are reaction cards, like something like this. So like if an enemy's attacking you, you can play this to stop an attack or whatever. But that's essentially the game. It's really simple. Again, I didn't want to go over everything because each scenario does play different. I know I sound like a broken record. But yeah, that's essentially it. Now I'm going to let you know what I think about it. Okay, so as you can see, this is not a complicated game at all. It's fairly easy. The rule book is not bad. It's pretty good. Explains very well in detail. It could be a little bit better. But again, this is not a complicated game at all. Like I said before, I'm going to sound like a broken record. Every scenario is different. So you are getting a lot of replayability there, as you know, the scenarios are going to give you a different challenge, a different strategy. What I don't like about the game right now is, one, the card quality. The card quality is not that great. It's very weak, cheap material, if that sounds right. So if you do get this game, I highly recommend that you sleeve the cards. That I can tell they're not going to last very well if you do play this game a lot. Again, another thing I wasn't crazy about is maybe some things felt a little samey here and there. The randomness is not really a problem either, because you know what monsters are coming out. You know what cards are going to be there. So you have that, with that knowledge, you can plan ahead for this for that scenario. So you should expect to know what's coming. Yeah, the wound cards and the fatigue cards are very random. I didn't think they were that big of a deal. I do like how, you know, the way you have to strategize with those wound and fatigue cards. Do I want to get rid of this now, or sometimes you're forced to get rid of it, because if you draw another fatigue, another wound card, that's all that's in your hands, then you're dead and your team loses. So I do like that tenseness that this game provides. What else? I do like how each scenario is different. You are getting your money's worth with this game. This is not an expensive game at all. I believe it could cost you around between $30 and $50. Maybe definitely get it cheaper than that. So you are getting your money's worth with this game. But I did have a lot of fun playing it. People I played it with too, they said it was very good. I'm not crazy about the theme. This is, again, that's just not up my alley. I'm not really into the whole fantasy Dungeons and Dragons theme. I probably would prefer more sci-fi action, or maybe military theme. So even horror. There is there is a little bit of a horror theme in here too. Again, it's not too much, but yeah, the wide assortment of enemies, that I thought was very interesting too. You know, the game does get progressively harder. I actually never won a game in this, but I do like the progressive system. As as you complete a scenario, you get different weapons, you get new cards, and you got to decide: do I want to get rid of this left arm card, exchange for this one? Is this going to be better for me going on? It's a very well done game in that sense. So overall, I'm struggling with a score. I'm gonna give this a 7.5 out of 10. It's a good game. It is a good dungeon crawler. You get your money's worth. Again, I'm not crazy with the theme. A little bit of randomness. The card art could have been better. I'm sorry. Excuse me. The card quality. The art is good. Again, there's not that, even with some of the attack cards, it really doesn't show much art. It's just print. But I guess maybe for budget constraints and stuff. But another thing I didn't bring up is the insert. Because it is a scenario-driven game, there's really no way to organize in that unless you take maybe the insert out. And there really isn't an insert. You just gotta throw everything in there. Maybe buy some Ziploc bags and just put your cards in there. But yeah, again, it's not a big deal because of the price point. It's not an expensive game. You just got to do a little TLC with the box when you're putting it away and stuff. So again, not a big deal. This is gonna get a 7.5 out of 10 for me. I do recommend this game, especially if you're into co-op games. It's got got that little bit of deck building in there. It's got that scenario driven game. A little bit again. I didn't pay attention to the story that much. I didn't feel that I just felt that you were just going in there, choosing a scenario. All right, here are the monsters. Here are how they play, and that's it. I did not care much for the story, but other people might feel different. That's why it's getting a 7.5 out of 10. It is a good game. Seal of approval. Please like and subscribe for this video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. But that's going to do it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, just keep playing.